going to start recording now. So I'm going to share my PowerPoint presentation with you, which I've actually put onto PDF to make things a bit easier. I'll just share my screen. And
Coach.
There we go. So first of all, welcome. My name is Paula Finn and I am the Primary Assistant Principal. And we also have joining us this morning, Paula Allison. Would you like to say hello, Paula Allison?
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Just to confuse you a little bit more, you've got two Paulas with you this morning. So I'm currently the head of FS and I'm going to talk you through everything this morning with Paula.
Super. So I'm just sharing my screen with you and we've got a presentation that we're going to go through this morning. Let's just see if we can change screen. Oh. So in today's session, we're going to go through what a typical school day will look like in FS1. And we're going to talk to you about the school uniform, which I know you'll be getting ready to buy. We'll also tell you how you can prepare your child for school and what you can do to be helping over the summer and before they come to school, and then what to expect next in terms of communication from us going forward. And then we'll have some question and answer time at the end. We've got quite a few families with us this morning, so we'll save the questions until the end, just in case they come up before you've asked them. And we'll just move on. So the first thing that I'm going to show you, and I know that we've actually got a parent here this morning who is in this video, and her daughter is in this video as well. I'm just going to give you a bit of a visual around what the day might look like in our foundation stage department. So I'll let you watch that now. Miss Allison, if you can just let me know if you can hear this volume, okay?
Okay.
The video.
No, it needs to be louder. No, I can't hear anything from the video.
I can't hear.
Is it not coming on the sound? I'll maybe have a play about with that when you're doing your bit and we'll see if we can get that at the end.
But the pictures are nice.
Claro, porque pone eso lleno de pelos, Winter, ¿eh?
As the enrichment, they have yoga, as you can see there. They have specialist lessons with the Arabic teachers.
I'm actually doing the test.
Getting ready for the end of the day.
So sorry that the sounds didn't work on that there. That wasn't planned. I've been working on Teams all morning and the sound's been fine. But for some reason it's not sharing through Zoom just now. So Mrs. Allison is going to go through what a typical day will look like, and then we'll give you a bit more information about different things that might be happening, like letters and sounds, etc. If you have your microphone off, you'll be able to turn it on. Sorry, if you have it on, you'll be able to turn it off just on the bottom left there, okay? So I'll let Mrs. Allison take over now.
So just some key information about the timings of day. So the teachers will be in their classrooms from 7:25 and the doors will be open for you in then. And the school register is taken at 7:45, and it's really important that you can come into school no later than 7:45, and if you can come from the start of 7:25, that'd be amazing, because the teachers will be doing small activities just to get the children ready to start their day, and even some target time and some reading and some writing, all things like that will be taking place in that first session there. And then you've got the end of day timings there for FS1 is 12:30, but we do have an after school club that runs to 2:40. But we do as much as possible if you can be there to pick the children up at 12:30, because the children will be seeing others leaving with their parents, and they may get upset if you're not there. And then as the term progresses, you could maybe look at the after school club, but we do suggest as much as possible that you are there for the 12:30 pickup, and that you are on time as well, because children will start to get upset otherwise. Mrs. Finn?
Yep, and I'll admit one more person.
Okay, so we have the FS1 timetable here, and you can see from 7:45 the register is taken, and we go straight into our first session. Then we have on a Sunday, for example, our input and free flow, and I'll go through in a moment the different types of meanings behind the input and free flow. But as you can see, we go then into, with all the green there, is when the children are all together in sessions. So we have a lot of outdoor as well, and we have an amazing outdoor area that is just for the FS1 children, that has a mix of construction. We have a mud kitchen, we have a big sand area as well, so the children do have free flow of that whole area outside. And then the orange there is the specialist lesson, so you can see they have quite a few very good sessions with Arabic and drama, PE and music. So we are lucky that we have these specialist teachers. And you can see the big blocks of break. We have 20 minutes for break there, and lunch as well. We have a big slot, and they have their own eating area. Is that still correct, Mrs. Finn? They have their own room for eating that is just for the FS1s, and the teachers and the TAs will support with eating in break time and in lunch time. And then we end every day with stories, songs, dancing, recap of our phonics. It's a really nice session at the end of the day, getting ready for you to be there at 12:30. I've not got the button to click next. We have our specialist lessons that I touched on before. We have PE, and in term 3 that also includes swimming. We have music and drama and Arabic, and these specialist sessions are taken out of the classroom into the specialist areas, so it'll have all the resources and things that they need there in the lessons. It's fantastic. The children really enjoy going to these sessions. So before I said about the different sessions we have that you could see on the timetable, I just want to explain a few of these. So as much as we can, we would have a learning hook that would really spark the children's interest. You might come in the morning and the classroom might have completely changed, or there might be a treasure box on the carpet, and it's just to really spark that love of learning and draw the children in. So we have, as much as we can, we start different topics and themes with a learning hook. We do have carpet sessions, and this is where the teachers will be teaching. It's only a short session. I don't want you to panic and think the children are sat on the carpet for long periods of time. They're not. And that'll then go into free flow, where that's where the teachers will really see the children putting to use what they've learned, putting it into action. And then we have adult-led and child-initiated. So the adult-led might be activities where the teacher is guiding them, and then the child-initiated is where the children are going out on their own and starting activities without the support of an adult, and then the adult would come into that learning to draw more learning out. We also have a mix of whole class, group and one-to-one sessions. It really depends on the needs of the children within the class, how the teachers would approach that. But it is a really big mix within the day, and it isn't just the teacher standing at the front of the class. It is all about the free flow and the child initiated and the children putting their ideas to use, and just the adults coming in to draw that learning out.
Thank you, Mrs. Allison. So first of all, apologies, I'm having quite an epic fail with technology this morning. Usually there's a button that you can press to change between slides here, but nothing is working, so sorry about that. You'll just need to bear with me scrolling through. So basically, we do a lot of our learning through play. As Mrs. Allison alluded to, there are times where we'll do small group sessions. There'll be times where we bring the whole class together, but really we try to protect as much time as possible for your children to learn through play. So what we would really like to do through the play is not just about them going off and doing whatever they like throughout the day and you know, just leading their own play. Of course, we do want to develop that at the same time, because that's developing all their social skills, their independence, they're developing communication and language. But the teachers in foundation stage are very sneaky, and they have lots of tricks up their sleeves to get children to learn through play that they have chosen. So if I was focusing on maths, for example, it might be that I wanted to work on children touch counting and making sure that they're touching each object as they're counting them and saying the names of the numbers. It doesn't matter if a child is playing in the sand with pebbles, or if they're playing with dinosaurs or cars, or playing in the role play area and pretending to be in a kitchen. Wherever the child is playing, I know that as an adult, I can go and use those resources to get the child to count and to do that activity with me. So that's constantly what we're doing in the foundation stage department. We're going into the children's play, and whatever it is that we need to develop next, we will do that with the resources that they have chosen to interact with. There will also be times as well that we just go with their play. So it might not be that we have a hidden agenda about maths or whatever it might be. It might be that they are playing role play, that they're pretending to be in a cafe, and as an adult we just go and we join in with that, and we're sort of using our initiative as the children are playing about how we can, you know, bring on language, but it might not be pre-planned for us at that time. So there's a bit of a mix of all of these things. What we're developing through play is, again, that independence, really bringing on those language skills, also social skills, which we'll talk a little bit about later, and how you can help. A lot of problem solving at this age is done through play. So later on, where a lot of the problem solving might come through language and sort of written instructions later on in the primary, we're developing all of that as we chat with the children and play with them. So a lot of the play that we do as well is developing the children's muscles that they'll need. Again, we'll talk about the importance of those muscles and what that's preparing them for just a little bit later on. You'll have seen on the timetable that we have times where we do something called letters and sounds. Really, this is about developing children's phonological awareness. A lot of this is done by auditory discrimination. So really, it's not about what the children are seeing in terms of letters and sounds. It's about how they can hear those sounds and the different sounds of the English language. So Letters and Sounds is actually a programme, it's a sort of phonics programme which is rolled out across England. There are lots of different phonics programmes that we can choose from. We choose Letters and Sounds only in FS1, and we might plug some gaps in FS2 if we need to. There are actually 6 phases to Letters and Sounds, but we only teach phase 1 at our school, and then we switch over to Ruth Miskin's Read, Write, Ink programme, because we think that's a better programme in terms of the visuals and things when we come to formally teach phonics. So Letters and Sounds is more, as I said, about the auditory discrimination. So right at the beginning, we'll be getting children to listen to sounds in their environment. So going on sound walks, what can you hear? I can hear an aeroplane, I can hear the phone ringing, all of these different things. We then go into instrumental sounds, so listening to the different sounds that instruments make. Can they match instrument sounds, maybe when they can't see instruments behind a screen? And then we go into body percussion, so all of this, you know, being able to clap in time to music, being able to break words down into syllables. So if we think about the word alphabet, for example, that's quite a tricky word for a child later on to spell. But we're teaching children early on that you can break difficult words down into smaller chunks, and that's all going to help with spelling later on. So the word alphabet can be broken down into al-pha-bet, and later on we can spell all of those components with our knowledge of phonics. It then goes into rhythm and rhyme. So again, a lot of work with music and listening to the different sounds that come you know, even with spoken language, and thinking about rhyming words like cat, bat, hat, sat, all of these words are rhyming, and that's developing children's awareness of larger chunks of sound in the English language. Again, all of this is really going to help with spelling later on. Then we go into alliteration, which is thinking about the start sound of words. So knowing that cat and cake all begin with the same sound there. And that's then beginning to discriminate the smallest increments of sound, and that's phonics. And that's when we would then start to tie in the phonics program. We would also think about voice sounds, so making loud sounds and quiet sounds and all of these things. And we have lots of fun doing that with the children, thinking about animal sounds and things as well. And then we start thinking about oral blending and segmenting. So knowing that when we say the phonic sounds k, a, t, when we join them together, that would make the word cat. And again, we do all of this without showing any letters, without tying it into words or anything, because what we're really doing here is building up the children's auditory skills, and we continue to develop that in FS2. Alongside that, at a separate time, we would also start to work on phonics. So next year we're going to have sound of the day. I know that at the beginning of this year we were doing sound of the week. We're going to sort of speed that up a bit next year with sound of the day. So we might have a bag that's got lots of things that begin with the sound p in there. So we might have a pin and a peg, and lots of different real resources that children can touch and look at and be thinking about those individual sounds. At that point, we would be showing the letter sound, we would be showing how we write that, but there's not a great demand that children have to be getting that letter formation right and things at that age in FS1. It's more about them having a play with the sounds and becoming familiar with them. So again, from there we would move on to read, write, ink, and that follows us into FS2 and right up into year 2. So as Mrs. Allison had explained, we do have extended care for parents of children in FS1. This is completely free and it's open for all children in FS1. So if you cannot manage to pick up your child at 12:30, there is the option that they can stay and be supervised until 2:40, and we have lots of fun activities for them, lots of child-initiated play. It's not necessarily an extension of the school day in that we wouldn't have learning outcomes and formal planning for that. It's more extended care after the school day. Children can have a nap at that time, only with your approval. They would have snack and things as well. And it's just a sort of fun time for the children. As Mrs. Allison had said, though, in my experience as an FS1 teacher in our school, some children don't want to go to the after-school care. They just are quite happy to go home at 12:30. There are lots of things that you can be doing with them after school which are equally as valuable, going to the shops and experiencing the local community and all of these things. So we would urge that if you're able to pick your child up at 12:30, that you do so. That, for example, as a teacher, I wouldn't be able to do that. So some people, we realise, have to take us up on the extended care provision. So that is really great for working families. Just to note, that runs from Sundays to Wednesdays, but because the whole school finish at 1 p.m. on a Thursday, we don't run the after school provision on a Thursday for FS1. So Mrs. Allison is just going to talk you through the uniform very quickly.
Okay, so we have our wonderful uniform. You have your polo shirt, the shorts or trousers for boys, and I always say this around, the skirt for girls, which is a mix of like the shorts and the skirt in one. You have white or black socks, and definitely sensible black school shoes, and also the WEC school bag. And I can't stress this enough, can you make sure that you label everything, even socks, because you will not believe the amount of spare socks that we have in our classrooms from when the children go into maybe the mud kitchen or they go into the sand and they take the shoes and socks off, and we always end up finding socks. So even down to the socks, everything needs to be labelled clearly, because the children, as much as possible, we're encouraging them to be independent. Take off your jumper, put it into your cubby, but sometimes they might put it into the wrong cubby, and if there isn't a label on there and your child's name can't clearly be seen, The jumpers and t-shirts, they all look the same, so we cannot stress that enough. Miss Finn, if you want to click on the threads, and it'll take you here to where you can get the school uniform. It's called Threads, and they do have a website there that you can go on and then click on our school, and it will show you the uniform that we have. Thank you, Mrs. Finn. You like? That's going to load, and then it'll show you everything there. You can click on FS1. Iron on labels, fantastic. We've had children have the labels ironed in, sewn in, or even just with a marker pen, but as long as it is clearly seen. And there, look, there's even shoes and things like that you can buy.
And you can also do this, there are stores that you can visit if you want to make sure that you've got the size right. So there's stores in Silicon Oasis, we've got one in Bergman, Times Square and Motor City. We would recommend that you leave it as late as possible to go and buy the school uniform, just because your little one might grow in the next few months, and we don't want it being too small when we start school.
Yes, definitely. And then we have also the sports uniform as well, the house colour polo shirt, so make sure you know which house you're in. Again, it's the sports shorts and white socks, the training shoes, and then we have the swim hats. Buying those until term 3, because like Mrs. Finn said, if you buy your swimming suit at the start of the term, by term 3 your child will have grown. And it screen there with your Wi-Fi.
Sorry, I've just changed the Wi-Fi because it's not working. It's breaking up.
Sorry,
quite a lot.
Mrs. Finn. And again, with your goggles, towels and flip-flops, everything, even flip-flops, need to have their names in. We are encouraging independence, and we'll do that from day 1, telling them to take their jumpers off and things like that. So just make sure everything is labelled, even their goggles. But yes, the swimming hat and the swimming suit or shorts, please hold off getting those until term 3, so then you're definitely going to get the right size for them.
So swimming begins in term 3, and the reason that we do that is we leave it until the last term so that the children are a little bit more independent with getting themselves ready. When it comes to swimming, we've timetabled it right at the beginning of the day for all of our FS children, so that if you wish to do so, you can put their swimming costume on under their clothing, because you know that we're going to go there first thing in the morning. Okay, so these are the kind of things that you can be doing over the next few months to help your child prepare for life in FS1. So communication and language and personal, social and emotional development are key aspects of the curriculum. They're part of what we call the prime areas, along with physical development. So these are the sorts of things that you can be doing to help your child prepare. So lots and lots of talking at home, that's what we want. I once had a parent of a child in FS1 whose father came to me and he said, "You need to help me, Mrs. Finn." And I said, what's the problem? And he said, "My daughter will not stop talking. I don't know how to get her to stop talking. She just talks and talks and talks all day." And I said, you don't need help. This is a great thing. You don't want her to stop talking. If she's constantly talking, she's going to be really skilled at reading and writing and all of these really key academic tasks later on. So do not stop your child from talking. You want to do the complete opposite of that. Make sure that you're modelling even between family members. So it might be that mummy and daddy are there with the little boy or little girl having dinner or doing whatever you normally do. Make sure that you're asking and answering lots of questions in front of your child, and that you're trying to get as much vocabulary as possible sort of into their own vocabulary. Sometimes even when I talk to very young children, we tend to limit the vocabulary that we have because we think they won't understand. And I would say there is a time and place for that. But also if we limit these words and we don't use, more sophisticated vocabulary with them, it means that they'll never get that in their own repertoire. So just make sure that you don't cut back too much on the vocabulary that you use. If your child is learning English, it would be really useful if you could start having a think about some of the phrases and the words that are going to be pertinent to them in the first few weeks of schools. So things like toilet please, or can I go to the toilet please, or water bottle please. All of these things are going to help your child with their basic needs when they first go to school. So if you know that English is a new language for your child, I would really work on some of those key phrases over the summer. Also, if English is not your child's first language, please don't give up your native language. I know that some schools that I've seen in the past have said to parents, you know, stop speaking in your native language, please just speak in English. Please don't do that with young children. And that's actually really detrimental for them because they haven't fully mastered their first native language. So it's important that they continue to develop that, because that's actually what they'll base the second language on. So if they're not native English speakers, don't stop speaking your native language. I know that this is really difficult just now because of social distancing, but should there be other children in your family, if you're allowed to see them obviously by law and things just now, it is good for children to be socialising with people outside of the family in terms of a personal, social and emotional point of view. But I know that there are restrictions in place at the moment. Even if you're on video calls with other members of the family, try and get your child to be involved in that, so that it's just widening up their social circle and developing their confidence in speaking with unfamiliar people. Also, lots of play at home. I know that even with my own nieces and nephews in the past, you feel bad if you play games and they lose. You don't want them to experience losings when they're so young, but actually it's really important that they do, and that they learn to be resilient with that. So playing games with your child, I wouldn't say make them lose every time, that wouldn't be very fair. They've also got to experience winning, but don't make it that they are always the winner, because they will find it challenging when they come to school and they're playing games and things with other children. Make sure that even when you're playing with your child, that there's an expectation that they share with you and that they take turns with you, and you talk about the importance of that and about it being fair. Again, if you're not allowing your child to experience these things at home, they're going to find it really difficult when they come and there are lots of other children to be sharing with in school. Another thing that you can do is talk about feelings. So you can talk about their feelings when they are, maybe when they're sad or when they're tired, or even when you're feeling sad or tired or excited. Talk about these things and talk about why you feel that way. When you're sharing stories with your children, which I'll talk about later on, talk about how the characters are feeling. All of this will help them to develop empathy, and it'll develop their social skills. Early independence is really key. Again, sometimes when we've got really young children, we're desperate to keep them young and to keep them sort of relying on us as adults. But it's really important now that they're coming to big school, they're coming to FS1, that they are really independent with lots of tasks. So for example, one of the things straight away is to get your child to have a go at practicing drinking with a cup that's not got a lid, and it's not, you know, a tippy cup. You can really get children to do that from quite a young age. So encouraging that's actually really great for their coordination and their sort of motor control as well. Also getting them to eat with proper cutlery, getting them to have a go at starting to, you know, making sure that they're feeding themselves. The adults in school, although there will be adults on hand, lots of adults at snack and break times to support them, we won't be feeding them. We really encourage the children to do that for themselves. Again, it's great for the coordination, motor control, etc. And I've even popped a little photo of a very, very young baby feeding themselves here. So it's possible from a very young age. So really try to encourage that. Toileting is a big thing. So it must be that all of the children are toilet trained before they come to school. This is really important because where we've got children that are having lots of accidents, it takes the key adults away from sort of encouraging the children to learn through their play. So we need to make sure that all the children are toilet trained. Of course, we live in the real world, and we know that 3-year-olds, and some of them might even be 2 going on 3, we know that they will have accidents, and there will be times where that happens, and you know, that's absolutely fine. That's part of life in FS, but we need to make sure that they are fully trained before they come to school. There will be adults on hand to help them, but really we'll be talking them through how to try and help themselves to develop that independence. So just make sure that your child has practiced over the summer, you know, pulling up their undergarments, pulling up their shorts and their trousers and things. Make sure when you buy the uniform that it's not too tight, because that can cause problems with children being independent and going to the toilet. Also putting on their own socks, putting on their own shoes, all of these things will be really helpful when it comes to school. Packing their own bags, making sure that whatever lunch boxes and things that you buy, that they can open the lids and do all of these things themselves, and that you're practicing for that over the summer. And the big one in FS, that they can carry their own bag. They don't need to bring lots and lots of heavy things to school every day. Sometimes when we look in the children's bags, you know, to put away their jumpers and things, there's all manner of things in there that probably don't need to be there. So try and lighten the loads of the bags and make sure that they are able to carry that. When you go to buy the WEC school bag, there are different sizes. It doesn't matter to us what size the bag is, as long as they can fit the belongings that they need to bring to school. So the next big thing that you can do to help get prepared is sort of starting to get them into routine in terms of healthy sleep and healthy sort of foods and things. Make sure that over the summer they're trying lots of different foods, because again, when it comes to eating their snacks and their lunches and things, many of which you might have provided, but it makes it easier in school if they're used to eating a whole range of healthy foods. So a tip that I can give you is, if your child just refuses to try new foods, which is very common at this age, let them have a play with the food. For example, if someone was to put something in your mouth which you had never touched or really experienced, and it was a strange texture for you, even as an adult, it makes you want to take that out of your mouth and not taste it. I know that as an adult, actually, my whole life, very embarrassingly, I've never tried oysters, because I don't want to put that texture inside my mouth. And it's the same thing for children. If they haven't experienced that texture, they're not going to want to eat it. So even, you know, putting broccoli in the bath with them and letting them have a feel at it and touch it and experience what that feels like, it makes them much more likely to, you know, have a go, have a sniff and a taste and a nibble at it when it comes to trying new foods. Another thing that is good to try is, with children, I'll say to them, you know, even in school, even if you have a smell at it, we'll smell it today and then we'll put it back in the lunchbox. If it's maybe strawberries or something that they haven't tasted before, it might be that the next day they can put their tongue on it, and as long as they've done that, yep, that's enough, and we'll put it away, and then we build up to taking a little nibble and trying lots of new foods. I just want to show you this website, which is from the National Health Service in the UK, about how much sleep children need, because this will probably shock you. So if you think about, I just want you to have a think by yourself, how much sleep in hours do you think your child needs right now? Have a think at what age they are and how much sleep they might need. If you've got older children, have a think, how much sleep do you think they need? And we'll go down and have a look. So your child, when they come into FS1, is going to be round about 3 years. So they need between 11.5 hours sleep to 12 hours sleep each night time. So in Dubai, we know that children get up very early for school. So they might be up at, 6 o'clock. Some children even up as early as 5:30. So you're going to have to work backwards in terms of their sleep routine. So you really need to be, having a bath and getting prepared for bed as much as 13 hours before, which might seem quite a lot, but really it's important that they get that sleep, because if they don't, it actually can hinder brain development at this age. So to give them optimal brain development, you want to make sure that they're getting the right amount of sleep. I'm just going to give you a little peek at what children need later on. Some of this might surprise you. And really, if they're not getting that amount of sleep, they are not going to perform well in school and be able to pay attention in all of the things that we're trying to work on. We'll just go back here. And also encouraging physical play. Physical play is really outrageously important at this age. We have lots of opportunities for physical play in the school, and with all honesty, I'm quite worried about how much physical activity children across the world are getting at this time when they perhaps can't go outside and can't leave the house. So it's really important that children get lots of opportunities to run and jump and roll and climb and all of these things. Again, that's what is developing their brain at this age. It's what's going to keep all of those brain connections open and make them stronger over time. And really, the gross motor activity will then develop into fine motor activity, which we really need for reading and writing later on. So lots of opportunities. This is one of the best things you can do for children, is making sure that they're getting lots of physical exercise and play and jumping around and anything that gets their body moving in a different way. These are all the muscles that a children has to develop before it comes to writing. So again, anything that you can be doing to develop these muscles will be really beneficial, and it will speed up the process of getting your child writing and being able to control what the marks that they're making and writing letters and things. And again, fine motor skills develop from gross, so from the big motor skills. So it's really important that they get to do all of these things first. So even when you're thinking about children eventually drawing little, circles for letters of the alphabet like A and D, which all go anti-clockwise, you want them to have experienced that with their hands and foam and bubbles and all of these things. So really going from big motor movements down into small motor movements. And again, you can be doing lots of that over the summer to help them prepare. Over the summer, again, lots of reading, share stories, share non-fiction books with your child. Here are all the benefits of doing that. So you're going to improve your child's communication and language skills. Again, you're going to build their vocabulary. I always say to the teachers in FS, try and read as many stories about different themes as you can, because if you're not reading those stories, the children are only getting the language in your house or in your classroom, and they're not getting any other vocabulary. So if you can read a story one day about bath time, or reading a story the next day about dinosaurs going a walk through the woods, or the next day about people going to space, you're giving them lots of new words and lots of new vocabulary. So as many different themes of stories as you can. It's perfectly fine for children to go back to the same book and be reading that a lot. That's good for sort of repetition and letting them see how language works, and then they can have a go at sort of repeating parts of the story themselves, which is really good at this age. Again, it develops early comprehension. So even when you wonder aloud and say, oh, I wonder why he did that, or maybe he did that because you're developing all of that early comprehension. It also models what's called prosody, which is maybe a word that you've never heard before. But if you're reading a book like Julia Donaldson's The Gruffalo, and you're reading, a mouse took a walk through the deep, dark wood. A fox saw the mouse, and the mouse looked good. You can see that when I'm chatting to you and when I'm reading that, my voice changes, and the rhythm and the pitch and the intonation of my voice changes. All of that reading with your child is going to develop that and teach them the prosody, the sounds that they should be using when they're reading, and even of the English language. It develops imagination. It'll improve their concentration in terms of being able to listen and attend. And it's just nice. It's nice to read with your child. It's a good time to spend together. Mathematical concepts. So a lot of what we focus on in FS1 is working with numbers within 10, but it's really understanding what numbers within 10 means, what it means. So if I say to a child, can you give me 1? They might give me 3, because they don't understand that actually 1 means one thing. So it's developing that concept of number sense and what numbers actually mean. It's great if children know how to count to 10, but that's what we call rote learning. So they've learned that a bit like a song or something else, but really we need to develop what it means, what numbers actually mean. So at home this summer, again, a lot of the things that you can do, sorting is actually really good for shape and number development. So is pattern work, so, you know, making patterns like blue, red, or, you know, a circle, square. The whole number system is built up on patterns. So anything that you can be doing to sort, so matching socks or sorting socks into colours at home, getting them to help you with the washing and things. So this is daddy's clothes, these are mummy's clothes, these are the baby's clothes. What's the difference? Some of them are big, some of them are small. All of these will develop their early mathematical concepts. Count everything in sight as you're walking upstairs, everything, just get counting, count actions, do lots of number songs with the children as well. Another thing relating to vocabulary is to develop their early vocabulary around time. Sometimes we don't use things like o'clock with children of this age because we think they don't know what it means, there's no point. But actually there is a point, because if you don't get that language into their vocabulary, they won't know what it means later on when it comes to learning about time. So say to them, you know, words like, we're doing it tomorrow, we did it yesterday, we're doing it next week, we're doing it later on. Get all of these words into their vocabulary. And don't worry about saying things like, oh, we'll do it at 10 o'clock, because that's getting that language of time again into their vocabulary. Jigsaw puzzles are a great thing to develop early reading skills and sort of them being able to notice small details visually, but also in terms of shapes and things as well. So if you can do those together, that's also a great activity. So in terms of what's going to happen next between now and September, over the summer we'll be putting together the classes for FS1. So over the summer, at some point, probably late July, early August, you will receive an email to let you know who your class teacher is going to be for your child. You will also receive what we call the class teacher's bio, which is just a little message from the teacher, which is written just to get you to know the teacher and what their experience is. You can then start contacting the class teacher, but please note that they don't return to school until 3 or 4 days before the term starts. If you've got any questions before that time, you can direct them to our registrars, Lena or Sheila, who you'll all have already been in contact with. Again, you'll probably already have this information, but we do a staggered start for the children. I remember my first year at the school opened late and we didn't have time for a staggered start. So I suddenly got 23 children all at the one time on day one when we opened the school. And it's quite overwhelming for the children to meet that many new children in one go and that many new adults. So really the staggered start is about getting them together in small groups. So each group of children will be invited to come in for 2 hours per day for the first 2 weeks, and then we go to a full timetable where they're in until 12:30 or 2:40 if you want to do the after school care. The after school care is not available in the first 2 weeks. We limit it to 2 hours per child. I know that some children will have attended nursery before and you might feel actually they're fine to be in the whole day, but even if your child is the most confident child, once one child gets upset and loses confidence during that time and maybe starts to cry, it just escalates and snowballs across all of the children. And before you know it, you've got 23 children all crying in your class, which is no fun for anybody, including the teachers. So that time is really about getting to know the children, making sure that they feel confident. And I always say to the teachers, that time is about really making the children love you. And because if you get that right during those weeks and during that first month, the learning will be much easier throughout the whole year because the kids will trust you as an adult. So it's really, really important. In the first couple of, the last couple of weeks in summer holidays, it would be great if you could start getting your child into a routine. So thinking about, right, what time are they going to have to get up at when we start school? Can I start doing that a few weeks early? And you might even want to get them up, have breakfast, you know, get them to help you to dress themselves, maybe going out at that time early in the morning, whether it's to the parks, again, if they're open, or going out, you know, to the mall or somewhere, but getting them up and out of the house at that time in the morning, even if you come back an hour later, but it's starting to establish those routines. Start getting them to be thinking about having a snack or having lunch at the kind of times that we would in school, so around about just after 11 o'clock, maybe for a light lunch. And again, just this will help them when it comes to school to fall into that routine. So I've spoken quite enough. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, and if you've got any questions, if you'd like to pop them into the group chat, I can answer those now. So if you're struggling to find the group chat, if you just hover, and at the bottom of your screen there should be an option to chat, and you can type anything in there that you would like. So I'll just give it a few minutes, see if anyone wants to take me up on that. Other than that, thank you very much for joining us today. We will also do another event after the summer, which will remind you of some of this, but it'll also tell you about, you know, where to find more information. We have Padlets and things which will tell you, it'll give you advice about the curriculum and things. So someone is just asking, do we need to reserve the after school slots? So we have space for all of the FS1 children, so you don't have to worry about not getting a space in after school care. You will definitely get a space. We will ask you to sign up for that in September. Yeah, but don't worry about not getting a space. That's not an issue at all. We just ask you to sign up so that we have a register, and then there'll be other information that we get from you for the after school care. Someone's asking, where can I find this PowerPoint? I'm going to share the video. So I've been recording this the whole time, and I'm going to share this video. They'll be sent out with all of the other getting ready for events. So we're doing getting ready for FS2, year 1, year 2, etc. So we'll share all of those collectively at the end of this week, in case you want to go back and look at anything. School uniform, is the bag mandatory? We try to enforce this every year. We are going to try and enforce it again. I know that there have been some children who have snuck in a, you know, Princess Sophia bag and things. We do encourage the school uniform so that the children all have the same, and because it's a good size for the cubby holes, sometimes children bring in bags that have got big trolleys and things attached to them, handles and things that don't fit in, and it makes it really difficult for the children to be independent. So it would be great if they could have the school bag. There's a smaller option of the school bag if you feel that the main rucksack is too big.
But children also as well, don't they, Paula? Will be able to see if they've got a different bag to what everyone else has got, and the other children do comment on that. So you might think, oh, it's okay, I send in that bag, but your child will notice that they're different to everyone else as well.
Yeah, it's good for them to have the same. They can have Princess Sophia or whoever they like on their lunchbox and things. That's absolutely fine. So someone is just asking, how is it going to be in the first term with e-learning? There's lots of rumours, as you know, sort of circulating in the media and things about what learning's going to look like when we come back to school. We have not had guidance around that from the KHDA. Our hope is that the children will be back in school. KHDA have said that children will be back in school in September, but again, we don't know what that will look like when we look at other countries around the world that have maybe 70% of children have gone back, or is that going to be year groups? Is it going to be, you know, bubbles or pods of children that go back? We don't know what that's going to look like. We are working on the basis that all children will be back in September, but we also are starting to map out contingency plans in case the KHDA advise us otherwise. So if they do advise us otherwise, I'm sure there'll be very strict guidance around what's to happen there, but we haven't had that yet. And when we get that guidance, it will be shared with all parents as soon as we can. But it's our hope and aim that the children are back. We really need them to be back in school. Someone's asking about toileting. Yes, there is assistance in the toilet for children, but just to share with you, because of safeguarding protocols, strictly speaking, we're not allowed to go in and be one-to-one with a child in the toilet and be physically helping them. I always say to the teachers, you know, use your own discretion with it. I know when I was an FS1 teacher in our school, if there was a child that obviously that really needed help, I would go and help them, and I would have another adult be present, you know, for safeguarding reasons. They are also the teaching assistants and the teachers. I have stood with many a child saying to them, right, now pull your pants up, and now you're going to use the tissue, and now you're going to pull your trousers up, and all of these things, standing outside the toilet door, talking them through it and getting them to develop that independence. But yes, there are adults on hand to help. Again, with pulling up of shorts and things like that, yes, we can support them with that at first, but we'll be very quickly training them to be independent. Also, in the first few weeks of school, we've got a kind of register on the toilet door so that we're ticking off who's using the toilet, because there might be some that slip through the net that don't want to use the toilet and might hold it in until they go home, and that is no good. So we want to make sure that every child is using the toilet quickly. So from previous experience, with her daughter, she knows that the FS department is absolutely amazing, so she's very excited for her to join. Thank you, Mrs. Rowlings, for that. Just to confirm, as far as you're aware, so school will be open in person, so we've spoken about that. Shall we send an email regarding my child's allergies issues? Yes, please do so. If you could let the registration team know about that now, but please also say to the class teacher as soon as you find out who that is, as soon as possible, and we will make sure that the school nurse and doctor know about that. We've got 2 nurses and a doctor in the school, and they all take breaks at different times. There's always somebody on call. If your child has an EpiPen, you can arrange with the school doctor that is stored in school for emergency use. Do we pack lunch or snacks for the staggered 2-hour blocks? So the children will need a snack and a lunch. You can order that through a company called Slices in the school, or you can give them a packed lunch and packed snack. That's completely up to you. And
can I also say, can you make sure you pack realistic amounts of food as well? Previously in FS1, we've had some parents that have brought enough food to feed the whole class, and then come to me and say, my child hasn't eaten enough food, but actually they've eaten quite a lot, but because you've packed so much, they've not managed to get through everything. So just think about how much your child can eat and not to pack too much for them.
And thank you for that, Mrs. Allison. Singing and story sessions, someone's asking, are they going to happen for the whole summer? Unfortunately, no, they won't be, because the teachers will be on summer break. But what we're going to do is we've got some teachers across the school will be releasing videos of singing and story, well, mostly story sessions. If you want, we can make them available so that you can access them and see maybe some of the other teachers that are in FS2 or the different year groups. They'll be available on our YouTube page. We'll let you know when they are available in case you want to watch any of them. And I think that's us. So thank you so much for joining us. We're really looking forward to meeting you, meeting all of your children, and hopefully getting back to school as normal in September. Thank you so much. I'm just going to end the meeting now. If you've got any other questions, feel free to address these through Lena or Sheila. I know you have their email addresses because they are the registrars who enrolled your children. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.